It was also Lou and Jerry that every year took their vacation in an organic food, I guess I'm going to say kind of new agey health spa in Mexico called Spa Rio Caliente. And I had just discovered that Philip Kapleau, who is the author of The Three Pillars of Zen, took his vacation at Spa Rio Caliente once a year. And it happened to be the same time that Lou and Jerry Gilbert were going down. And I talked them into taking me with them. So this is the first chance I had to meet a Zen master. And again, this was in late 60s, early 70s. And the amount of Zen teachers or meditation centers and so on were very, very, very few. So went down to Spa Rio Caliente, and Kapleau Roshi told me to just show up at 5 o'clock the next morning in this hall over here, where he and 5 or 6 of his attendants would be sitting for several hours. I was welcome to sit in. Got up that morning, went down to the sitting hall, walked in just a few minutes late. He hadn't arrived, but everybody else had. And I noticed against the wall, everybody's shoes lined up in this completely anally obsessive compulsive fashion, I thought. Took my shoes off, kind of threw them in the corner, went over, sat down, got in full lotus, got in hand like this, and waited. And finally, Kapleau came in, and we're all looking at the wall, and the floor and the wall. And I could sort of feel that something wasn't right. And I could kind of feel the people next to me sort of making noises and going kind of, oh, something's wrong. And he sits down, takes his chair. This is my first Zen story, incidentally. It's a real Zen story. It's my first real practice of Zen. And he sits down, and there's a just deathly silence. Now, it's really clear to me that something horribly is wrong. And I figured one of his attendants had done some terrible thing, like, kill a snake or something the day before. Buddhist injunction against taking any life. So he started and he said, essence of Zen is that one's mind and one's environment are not two. They are one. How you treat your mind is how you'll treat your environment. How you treat your environment is how you treat your mind. If you have no respect for your environment, if you're sloppy or disorderly, and as soon as he said that, I knew he was talking about my shoes. So here's my first day together with these people. I am the object of a Zen lecture on how not to do things. So I'm sitting there hoping that my absolutely red face is not showing. Everybody alongside of me is keeping a stoic face ahead. So this goes on for a half hour, and definitely something I have not forgotten. The way you treat your environment, the way you treat your mind, they're not two. Keep them both orderly, keep them both clean. So he sits down at what turns out to be the end of the hall. So there's a doorway opening to the outside, and then there's just the floor and the wall going along like that to the corner. And then it turns and it goes that way. And he sat in the corner. I'm sitting second from the person next to the door. So about 20 minutes into this, a scorpion about that big and black comes in the door, turns and starts walking across the crease between the floor and the wall. And it's just walking, 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 and all of a sudden it enters my visual field, and there's like a slight click, because the guy next to me has just realized that now I see it too. And of course what we're both thinking is, what would Roshi do? What would a Zen Master do? And so, kind of frozen, walks down. You can hear a click when it enters the next person's visual field. And now there's this realization that 3 people are aware of this. And you can just hear this click, 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 as enters everybody's visual field. And everybody's thinking the same thing. What would Roshi do? Because we're not allowed to kill it. Buddhist injunction. And so you don't dare kill it, and all of a sudden there's a whack! And Roshi taken off his sandals and splattered the hell out of this scorpion. Just sent it smithereens all over the end. And you're like, oh, that's what a Zen Master would do. There are no rules. But there are rules. So it's always been a paradox in Zen. One famous koan put it, if in the discipline of the Tao or of spirit there is any discipline, then the completion of that discipline marks the destruction of the Tao, because it's supposed to be spontaneous and open and no forcing it in to rules or patterns. The second part of the koan is, but if there is no discipline in the Tao, one remains an ignoramus. So this is the paradox that you find with all the non-dual schools. You are already enlightened, but you can't just go around saying that. You have to actually realize it. So even though it's true that you're absolutely 100% enlightened right now, everything for the enlightened mind is in your awareness right now. Nonetheless, if you don't actually deeply realize that, then you remain an ignoramus. So if you do realize it, the realization isn't, oh, this is something new, how great. It's just something, oh, how great, and I knew this. Someplace in the back of my mind, I knew this. It's described as coming home in most of the contemplative traditions.